Steve, go ahead and start us off.
Hey Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. You?
I'm good, thanks, man. I'm very excited for this fight at the weekend. Just firstly, obviously you've been in Bellator for so long, UFC before that. How is the feel of this PFL fight week different to those?
It's not too different. We try to keep everything routine, our process throughout the whole week and leading up to the fight. There's a lot of similarities, a few things different, but we're in a new spot.
Buenos binders de vuelta.
Was that? Okay, sorry. Am I still on? Okay. Yeah, but everything's pretty routine, honestly.
What are your thoughts on Renan Ferreira? Obviously, the deal with PFL and Bellator was rumbling for a while. Do you remember the first time when he kind of came onto your radar as a potential opponent?
Yeah, I was really in end of December. There's kind of rumblings about a potential fight, maybe a champ versus a champ. PFL acquired Bellator, the whole deal, and so they had the final. Actually, that was in November. They had the finals going on, and I was on the broadcast and I watched that fight, and that was the first time I saw him fight. Started diving into him. He's a big athletic dude. Good hands. He's got good striking. I feel like his ground game's a little weak. He's relatively new to the sport, with 15 or so fights, and but he's definitely a tough, worthy opponent.
Thank you, Ryan. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Uh, am I on?
Yes.
Okay. Darth Vader, how are you, sir?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing all right, Mr. Vader. It's Jay Christian Gary at Focus Fights Audio. Just wanted to ask you a few questions, if that's okay. First of
Absolutely.
all, when it comes down to this fight against Renan Ferreira, this is the first time you fought somebody over your height, which I think is 6'5". Am I not? I mean, no, it actually is your height 5'11" or 6'5", because I forgot this is the first time you're fighting a bigger man that's probably 6'7" or more since Czech Congo, all the way back in September of 2022.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm actually 6'2". Yeah, I fought a lot of guys bigger than me at heavyweight for sure.
my apologies then. But
No
going
problem.
into the fight against Hennen, do you feel that even though he has the size advantage, do you feel that your experience advantage will probably outweigh those odds?
Yeah, I mean, size doesn't matter. They, they have their attributes as far as being strong and being lengthy, and with their striking and all that. I brought in some really tall guys in this camp, 6'9", 6'6". So I've seen it. Been in there with tall guys, not this tall, but and I also feel, they're kind of like weaknesses on having a big body like that. Cardio wise, getting up off the ground. He is big and athletic, but if you watch his ground game, he doesn't really get up off his back. Yeah, size is really nothing for me. When I first went up to heavyweight, I was worried about that. And then, I dove in and did the Grand Prix and fought some big guys like Matt Mitrione and realized I was fine. I was just as strong. I was faster, better cardio. So, I'm feeling good about this.
I see. Considering the fact that this is a Bellator versus PFL fight where no championships except for that super fight title is on the line, how would you feel? How would you feel the Bellator brass would feel, if you come out on top against the PFL champion?
I mean, there's definitely, some pride and bragging rights and all that. I want to represent, the Bellator best of my ability. But kind of tunnel vision. I don't really think about all the outside stuff. I'm just going to go in there and do what I've been training to do, and go in there and get my hand raised, and everything else is great. I want to represent the company, best of my abilities, and all that. And there is, some pride there.
I see. And one more question. Aside from the Ferreira fight, I mean, obviously you're the Bellator champion. You could either defend your title in the upcoming Bellator Championship Series. You could go on to the PFL regular season. You could even go over to Japan and humble some guys in Rising. But when it comes down to your future, what would you hope that the fight world would remember about you if and when you decide to put the gloves in the center of the cage, like how you had against Fedor Emelianenko in your last fight?
Yeah, I mean, there's some big fights on the horizon. Being with PFL and Bellator, is pretty fluid, right? We can jump around a lot, and there's a big name out there with Nagano. He's boxing, and then like to win this fight, and then get that fight after this, and go down as one of the greatest heavyweights ever.
I see. Well, other than that, best of skill to you, Darth Vader. Hopefully, the world will get the chance to see you and Henan tear up the house on Saturday afternoon / early Saturday evening.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Ryan, nice to meet you. You helped
too.
Michael Chandler coach on The Ultimate Fighter season 31. I'm wondering, against Conor McGregor, I want to know what was the most iconic moment of Conor McGregor during that season that you witnessed?
The iconic moment of Conor McGregor on that?
Yeah.
Is that, I'm not sure really. We didn't have really too much dealings with him. We got everybody got in a little pushing match in the cage on one point, but yeah, we were worried about our team and kind of focused on that.
Awesome. And one more about The Ultimate Fighter team. I'm wondering, who do you think is the best prospect, or who's got the best future out of, the team that you and Michael Chandler drafted?
Oh man. I think they all have a future. We were kind of going down and watch them work out and all that, and we really didn't know, because they were fighting prospects, and then when they went out there and put it on the line and fought, we were all pleasantly surprised because they went out there and brought it. We only lost one fight, so I think I think most of those guys do. Honestly, I don't want to single out just one person in there, but I think every single one of those guys has a future for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, my man.
Thank you.
Ryan.
Hey, champ. Congratulations on getting here. I know it's been a year since you've been in the cage, and I'm sure that time is always nice to have off and heal up. After this one, you're not looking past this fight. Can you see yourself being in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty open. When I came over to Bellator, that's what I came over for. New experiences and doing the Grand Prix and stuff like that. I'm always open for anything. It'd be nice to get a bunch of fights in a short amount of period of time. I always love that. I did that on the Ultimate Fighter, and I've done that in the Grand Prix and all that kind of stuff with Bellator. And so I'm definitely open to anything. At this point too, I'm looking for those bigger fights and those different opportunities.
Yeah, and just lastly for me, can you just talk a little bit about the transition and working with the PFL and how that experience has been for you?
Yeah, it's pretty seamless. Honestly, we have a lot of the Bellator people over here, behind the scenes, and faces that we know, and pretty much the fight weeks are pretty much ran the same. It's pretty seamless. Just a couple different things. We have fight kits and stuff like that. But other than that, it's really just, like I said, it's routine, and we try to keep it as routine as possible, but it's been great so far.
Great. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Speaking of the Ultimate Fighter, Ryan, you actually won that tournament yourself. So my question to you in regards to that is, how was the transition like winning that when you did on season 8 to helping? I know you weren't the head coach, but you were part of the coaching staff. How was the comparison between those two different seasons you were part of?
Yeah, it's very cool. Kind of get back to the roots a little bit. I remember, being there feels like, a couple of years ago, and it was a long time ago, and it definitely kind of lit a spark for me because I saw these guys chasing their dreams and trying to get to where we're at right now. And they had a lot of passion and a lot of fire, and you could see that, and it came out for sure. And kind of infected all of us. And so I walked away from that with, some freshness for the sport.
And what type of statement do you think you need to make this weekend for the people over at PFL to be like, yes, we want Ngannou versus Bader next?
I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to go out there and get my hand raised. I'd want to go out there and finish them in a spectacular fashion. You never know what a fight entails, when you get in there. We'll see what happens. We're prepared. We're ready. I want to go out there and put on a show, for the Saudis and the fans here. and myself and PFL and, absolutely, grab that Nagano fight.
And obviously, last one for me. I know the focus for you is on Renan Ferreira this weekend, but looks like Vadim Nemkov is going to settle for heavyweight move now. So is that one fight you'd like to welcome back in the future?
Yeah, it could be a fight in the future. I kind of have my roadmap right now. Go out there and get this win and get the big Nagano fight. And there's actually a lot of fights. You got Nemkov out there. You got Linton Vassell, who I was supposed to fight in October, and he ended up pulling out. So there's a list of names.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Ryan.
Thank you.
This is Ronald E. Smith. Ryan, you did talk about what it meant to you coaching on The Ultimate Fighter, but then you also continue to go on about your own career. How have you been able to keep the fire burning in you on this journey that you've been on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I love to compete, and I think I've always had that, and I still have that. I love the freedom that this sport gives you in just everyday life. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I don't answer to anybody. Everything's on me. The success comes from the work that you put in. So I love that. And I love the freedom where I'm able to go do stuff with my family, don't ask for time off, all that kind of stuff. And, whenever you start to think, oh, I'm burnt out or whatever, I go back to thinking how fortunate I am to have a career like this and to do what I do.
And my last question for you, your opponent did say that he wants to go to war with you. How are you able then through this fight, not feeding into what he wants, but stay on the game plan for what you want to do?
Yeah, it's easy. We've been training, exclusively for this guy for 10 weeks or so, going through the game plan day in and day out, every time you step in there, you're going to war, So you never know what a fight is going to throw you, and it's just your ability to adapt and overcome in there. And we're bringing a game plan and something that we worked on for a long, this whole camp, and stick to that, and we'll get our hand raised.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Dylan.
What's up, Ryan? You've brought in a lot of sizable training partners when preparing for these bigger opponents. Kamwile Kapalelu, Chris Gruler, even a guy nicknamed the Mountain. But one guy that you've trained with in the past that isn't too big is Arizona Cardinals kicker Matt Prater. Did Prater help you with those head kicks? Can we expect you to bust out some spinning wheel kicks out of the gate?
I don't know about that, but I did go out there and kick field goals with him, and I was sore for like 2 weeks afterwards. Body's definitely not meant for that, but yeah, he's a great guy. We met him. He was coaching my son's football team, and good dude, and want to try to get into boxing a little bit. And we got him and AQ Shipley in there a little bit, and they're having fun.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
How you doing, Ryan?
Good, you?
I'm great, man. You have a lot of experience as a heavyweight fighter. What's driving you most stepping into this next fight?
It's just something different, and it's everybody's always asking for these cross promotions of fans and all that, and it's very cool for the fighters too. There's some bragging rights there. You kind of go in there and say, hey, our promotion has a better fighters, or they're thinking the same deal. And it's a fun fight at the end of the day. There's a new belt on the line. I got to check that belt out, this week. It's super cool. Would love to add that to my collection, and it's just a fun fight. Champion versus champion doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, it sure doesn't. Good luck to you this fight, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Ryan, you talked about it a little bit at nauseum here already, but as a veteran of the sport and having been in other promotions, what does a merger do, not for the sport, but particularly yourself, to kind of rejuvenate you? You've mentioned already, hey, I have a roadmap now coming into this year, but how does it kind of rejuvenate, because there are so many different options and ideas of what you can do with the merger between PFL and Bellator?
Yeah, I mean, you just hit it right there. There's so many options. I got to the point I was kind of doing a lot of rematches, and it gets stale after a while. So have the ability there to to have those options. I loved it when in Bellator, I had the option to go up to heavyweight, do Grand Prix and all that kind of stuff. And after I think I have 42 something fights, it's welcomed, and with the merger, there's so many different possibilities that can transpire, a lot of different options after this fight. So that's what kind of keeps me going for sure.
I do got to ask you because you mentioned his name a couple times. You're fighting in Saudi. He was on the grand stage, recently. What do you make of what Francis Ngannou has done, stepping out of MMA, going into boxing, but not like Conor McGregor and actually going in and making an impact as Francis did in his fight against Tyson Fury? And how do you think it really helps the sport of MMA and really boxing as a crossover?
Yeah, I mean, he did it right. There's a lot of naysayers at the beginning, right? And he went out there and crossed over into boxing, and a lot of people thought he won. I thought it was super close, and he could have won that fight with Tyson Fury. He's making a lot of money, a lot more than he'd ever make anywhere else. And then coming back to PFL in the mixed martial arts, it's going to be a big deal. And what he's doing for his opponents on purse minimums and all that kind of stuff. Hats off to him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean.
Hey Ryan, how's it going? So this is a two-parter.
Okay.
First question is the experience factor. You have so many fights compared to he's relatively green. You think that's going to take over in the cage?
Yeah, I've been through all the situations you can get thrown at in mixed martial arts. I've been through 5-round wars. I've been through, a ton of those. And that in itself takes a lot of heart. And I've been in there with not just up and comers. Those are, guys contending for the belt. Those are guys that have got to the top of the sport, So I've been in there countless times with those type of guys. I just feel like in this fight, when the going gets tough, I'm going to keep going and he's going to wilt away.
And the old connotation, styles make fights. The ground aspect of this, you think that's a relative weakness for Renan, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
that's my kind of absolute strength. If you were to say, what am I? I grew up since I was 7 years old wrestling. I have power in my hands. You look at Renan, and he's great on his feet. He's big, athletic. And you see guys that are, 50-50 fighters go in there and take him down and hold him down. So obviously that's area that you can exploit for sure.
All right, Ryan, have a good show. Best of luck.
Appreciate it, buddy.
So just one quick one for me. So looking back on your career with Bellator, as we are looking for the future, but as far as the past, what was your best moment that you can think of personally as far as your career with Bellator?
I mean, the best moment is pretty easy for me. It's when I look back, it's the one that always pops up first. It's I had the light heavyweight belt. I went through the Grand Prix heavyweight tournament, and I was looking over in the bracket, and I'm like, Fedor is over on that side. It'd be so cool if we met in the finals. And it happened, and then going out there, you're fighting a legend in the sport. I'm up at a new weight class, go out there and knock him out in 35-ish seconds. And then, get 3 belts wrapped around me, become a 2-division champion. That was, a huge highlight of my career when I look back. And it's definitely a cool moment. Family and friends, my wife in the cage. It was, it's kind of unbeatable.
So speaking of that, a lot of people thought that Fedor, he fought too long and he should have hung it up early. How do you see it ending for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing on me. He wanted to fight. He made it through that tournament. He beat all those guys to make it there, and we signed the contract and we fought. The second time, it wasn't me asking for him. It was him asking for me. He wanted that fight back, and Fedor gets what he wants. And so we went in the second fight. It was a different kind of fight for me than the first time. It was kind of lose for me. If I beat him, great. You're supposed to, and he's old. If I lost and he was retiring, big mess up. So That one had a little bit of pressure, but went out there and did my job. And yeah, all I can do is just go out there and fight the guys that signed the contract that are in front of me, and do my job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last question, Mills.
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? It's MMA Locker Room, part of Pup Sports Radio. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. You?
I'm doing awesome, man. I just wanted to speak on something. Seeing how well you did on the Ultimate Fighter and how it pushed your career, to get the head start. I mean, I think you were 8-0 undefeated before you fought John Jones on there.
Mhm.
Then, you made your run again and, fought Daniel Cormier. It's kind of like you've been fighting the best of the best. And, organization and maybe even a season in a TV show like that might have got you in that preparation. Hear me out. What would you think about the PFL making their own prospect becoming a fighter series, and with you actually being part of it to coach it, seeing how other organizations have blossomed from it, being that the PFL has great company partners and that we don't have anything to watch on TV during the week. What do you think about them maybe coming up with their own show with that, and you being one of the coaches and bringing out that segment for them?
Man, I love it. I honestly do. I do love coaching, and I didn't realize that I loved it that much until I was back on the Ultimate Fighter and helping those guys and connecting with them and seeing the fire in their eyes and the dream that they had and kind of helping in any way possible for them to go out there and bring that to fruition. So yeah, I mean, that's something that I think is that's a very good idea, and I would like to see happen for sure.
Got it. So let's go ahead and make it in flourishing. The owner of the PFL, let's go ahead and call for it.
Yeah, there's
call
there's some of them in this room here, so maybe they're listening here.
There you go. There you go. And if so, man, I just want to be one of the first announcers on that episode for you guys.
There you go. You got it, buddy.
All right, man. Best of luck. Can't wait to see you fight this week.
Thank you. Thank you.